So what's the Akai MPK Mini like in 2023, and should you buy it? Hi everyone, I'm Upwards, and today I'll be reviewing the Akai MPK Mini MK3 and taking a look at how it stands in 2023. The MPK Mini MK3 came out roughly 2 years ago, and it's been one of the most popular MIDI keyboards today. When Akai released it, they updated a bunch of new features, including new pads, endless encoders, and much more. But with the release of newer keyboards such as the Arturia Minilab 3, how does the Akai MPK Mini MK3 stand out today? Does the Akai MPK Mini MK3 have enough to justify its existence in 2023? In this video, I'll be going through all the different features on the Akai MPK Mini MK3 and discussing how well they are implemented. One of the main reasons why people choose Akai over other brands is mainly because of the pads. Akai is incredibly known for their series of MPC machines that many producers tend to go to for their practicality and finger drumming capabilities. Akai has also put many of these same features on their MPK line of products, including the Akai MPK Mini. The Akai MPK Mini shares the exact same pads found on the latest MPC machines, creating great consistency between Akai's products. MPC pads are high quality, sturdy, responsive, and very sensitive, registering even the lightest touch. To get the full velocity, I sometimes have to hit the pads quite hard, which can personally be pretty annoying or helpful. So make sure you're aware that your fingers could get sore after finger drumming on these pads. Alternatively, there's a button called full level, which allows you to get the full velocity no matter how hard you hit the pad. For me, I think the harder pads can be a good thing, encouraging more control and precision over finger drumming, just like you would on an acoustic drum set. And if you are planning on playing live with this keyboard, you'll be playing pretty hard on the pads, I can imagine. The pads have a red underglow whenever you hit them, which is pretty standard. However, it will be pretty cool to see if the underglow matches the velocity of your hit, or some more color options. The knobs on the MPK Mini are all endless knobs, which means you can turn them to left or right infinitely. On the last generation of the MPK Mini, you had to keep readjusting the sliders on your DAW to match the location of the knobs on your keyboard, which made using the knobs extremely frustrating and unintuitive. This time, the knobs are much better and with a new design. They follow the rest of the MPK series keyboards and have a more stubbier and longer knob. They aren't quite the same as say the Akai MPK 249 knobs, nor do they feel the same. But for a mini keyboard, they do the job really well. Another new feature on the MPK Mini is the inclusion of an OLED screen at the top center of the keyboard. This screen works really well with the updated knobs as they correspond to the placement of any slider you're controlling in your DAW. This is a very useful but unuseful feature at the same time, for two reasons. When using the Akai MPK Mini, the screen is useful if you don't look at the computer screen. However, you'll most likely be looking at your computer screen, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a screen on the keyboard. Secondly, the number on the screen goes up to 127, which stands for full velocity in MIDI language, but not a very helpful measure when controlling parameters in the DAW, which most likely will go up to 100 instead of 127. When playing on the pads, it shows the amount of velocity on the screen, which is a great indicator of how hard you're playing. The screen being OLED is quite an interesting choice. It does mean you get really good contrast, which allows for better visibility in outdoor environments. But it seems quite funny to me that they only made it black and white, along with a low resolution. In the end, it doesn't matter too much as it serves its purpose to show information. On a $119 keyboard, it still serves as a very cool feature that most keyboards in its price range doesn't have. Unfortunately, the features on it are still very limited in terms of what you can actually do with it. The joystick has been on the Akai MPK Mini since the second iteration, launched in 2014. It serves as a replacement for pitch bending and modulation. To pitch bend, you can flick the joystick horizontally, and to modulate vertically. However, you can actually change this all in the settings if you download the Akai MPK Mini editor. As fun and practical as it seems, I find it rather unintuitive. I find myself accidentally triggering one or the other at the same time, or not really getting as good control as I would on some other mini keyboards that have touch-based strips.
The MPK Mini comes with 25 keys and has a solid keypad in my opinion. They don't feel cheap and springy like the ones you would find on cheap keyboards, and are decently weighted for a mini MIDI keyboard. They're not amazing by any means, but they are all leveled and balanced really well. They all feel very solid and are quite easy to play on. All the keys have a good depth to them, and sound-wise they have a nice thud rather than a squeak. Just remember that they are still mini size, so you have to adjust your playing accordingly. Looking at this design, I must say it is quite striking and bold, which separates itself from other MIDI keyboards. The layout is practical and compact, while looking premium. In terms of the build quality, we still have a plastic build that is similar to the last generation. The plastic isn't cheap feeling and is quite firm, while having a decent amount of heft. Every component on the keyboard is plastic, apart from the pads. I personally would have liked to see more of rubber instead of plastic, especially with the buttons, where they make a loud click. The keyboard does squeak a little when you bend it, which is quite common for budget keyboards, such as the Innovation Launch Key Mini, a very similar mini MIDI keyboard. Other than that, the build quality is solid overall.
On the backside of the MPK Mini, there's only one port other than the USB input, which is the sustain input. This has been the only other port found on the MPK Mini ever since they were launched.
The size of the MPK Mini is perfect for traveling, and the build quality is strong enough that you can chuck it in your backpack and take it wherever you go without worrying about it as much.
Looking at the software that comes with the Akai MPK Mini MK3, you have Akai's own DAW, MPC Beats, as well as some VSTs from Air, and a few sample packs. Honestly, these are good for beginners or people looking to get started with producing, but not for long-term users. I much prefer Ableton Live Lite, which gets people used to a more industry standard DAW and is included with most mini MIDI keyboards. In terms of DAW integration, on the screen you can access layouts for some of the most popular DAWs: FL Studio, Ableton, Logic Pro, GarageBand, and of course, Akai's own software, MPC Studio.
The only real benefit of selecting these layouts is that they have predefined some of the different features of the controller to your certain DAW.
For example, on Logic Pro, the pads are aligned to the drum machine software, which is handy.
However, beyond some simple features, the Akai MPK Mini's DAW integration is actually quite limited.
You can map all the knobs to most features inside your DAW. However, I have not found a way to assign transport controls for my DAW, Logic Pro. This is something I've been trying to figure out as I use transport controls for live performances with my MIDI keyboards. Most buttons on the MPK Mini have already been assigned to functions that cannot be overridden. As a workaround, I assigned two pads in Bank B to be used to select the previous and next tracks.
Which brings me to the buttons. On the left side, you have 6 buttons. For the arpeggiator, the on and off, the tap tempo, the octave down and up, and the full level and no repeat functions. Functions you can expect on most MIDI keyboards. On the other side, you have 4 buttons. You have the Bank A/B, the CC, the Program Change, and the Program Select buttons. The Bank A/B allows you to select from pads 1 to 8 and pads 9 to 16. For the CC and Program Change button, they allow you to do advanced MIDI mapping, and the Program Select button allows you to choose different presets for the DAW you are using. Overall, the DAW integration is okay, but the fact that there aren't any transport controls on the controller itself is a bit of a letdown for me. On nearly any other MIDI keyboard out there, you can expect to have at least some transport controls, such as the play and pause button, which is absent on the Akai MPK Mini. Other than that, the endless knobs which can be assigned to anything in DAW is a well-implemented feature.
In the US, the Akai MPK Mini MK3 goes for $119, but can be often found on discount for $100 or less. In this price range, there are some compelling offers, such as the Innovation Launch Key Mini, which can be found for the same or less price, and the Arturia Minilab 3, which goes for $109. These two keyboards have much better DAW integration, but where the Akai stands out is with its pads and its knobs, so it kinda depends on what your preferences are and what you think is more important.
In conclusion, the Akai MPK Mini is a solid keyboard, perfect for on-the-go beat making and for producing. It's super light, practical and compact, making it easy to take on the go. It also looks great and is visually stunning. standing out from the competition. The added bonus of MPC pads makes finger drumming a great experience, along with the inclusion of endless knobs, which makes controlling parameters in your DAW much more intuitive. However, the DAW integration is quite average, with no dedicated transport controls on the keyboard, making the Akai MPK Mini difficult to use without touching your DAW or your computer. Overall, the Akai MPK Mini is best for those who aren't looking at doing live performances, or rather producing. It has great pads for finger drumming and has a compact size perfect for on-the-go beat making. If you're not looking for those things, I would recommend at this price point to look at something like the Novation Launch Q Mini Mark III or the Arturia Minilab 3. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.